my name is Briana Valencia, and welcome to Tomorrow We Vocalize.
My name is Alma Valencia. Welcome.
So I am an organizer for Tomorrow We Vote. I've been with them since October, and I'm really excited to get started today. This is our first episode ever, and today we have my sister on here talking about women's equality. So I'm going to tell us a little bit about what you worked in, where you worked, and a little bit about that experience.
Okay, so I have a background of working with the Army National Guard military, construction, car wash, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. And the experience that I have come across recently, I worked in construction for 6 months.
Okay.
As an electrician helper.
Oh, okay. And then, what did you do there? Were you the only woman there? Or how did that work?
I would say I was the only woman there. There was probably like one or two more women as me. They did not last.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, you definitely have a lot of experience working in an area where you didn't before. So you said you also worked in the military. What is your job there?
I am a 92 golf, which is a culinary specialist.
Oh, okay. Do you plan on doing anything else with that, or what are you doing right now?
I think later on I'm gonna continue my career as a sergeant.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting.
Yep.
So, we're just gonna talk a little bit today about Alma's experience, what she's experienced in the military, a little bit of background on that, and just exactly how that's gotten us to where we are today with women's rights as a whole. So, women's rights are human rights, of course. These include the right to live free from violence and discrimination, to enjoy the highest attainable standards of physical and mental health, to be educated, to own property, to vote, and to earn an equal wage. Emphasis on the equal wage because, of course, we want to get paid the same amount of money for the same work we're doing as everybody else.
Right.
So the equal pay legislation in 1872, female attorney Belva Ann Lockwood persuaded U.S. Congress to pay women who were federal employees equally. And then in World War II,
let me see, millions of women entered the workforce. Due to the lack of men after the war ended, women were forced to return to the traditional no working.
Yeah, and of course, after women were able to earn their own wages and men came back, I wouldn't be okay with that either. Imagine you're making your own money and then people come back from war and like, hey, you have to go back to doing what you were doing before and not making any money. No. Women were not okay with that, and I would not have been either.
No, it's like, give my money. What the heck?
So, and then the Equal Pay Act of 1963, this landmark legislation forbade employers from paying women less money than men for jobs that require the same skills and responsibilities.
Horrible.
Unlike the 1872 Equal Pay Law, the act covered the entire workforce, not just federal employees. And this was really important because not everyone works for the federal government. We have all kinds of people of color, minorities that needed this protection as well. So this is like very interesting that every time they pass something, I feel like the first time they pass a law, it's always like, we're only going to cover these people, and the people that end up always benefiting from it first tend to be like the richer people, more educated and stuff. And then we were like that's not fair. Like, what about everybody else? And then the Civil Rights Act of 1964
famously outlawed discrimination based on race, color, sex, and national origin.
So when I think of the Civil Rights Act, of course, I feel like everyone thinks of Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, the bus boycotts, everything that was going on at that time. But I feel like it's never really talked about is like how it also helped women in the workforce.
Right.
And so like I feel like that act, of course, really helped push discriminations away from that. But also the one thing that women deal with that men don't is a pregnancy. So the Pregnancy Discrimination Act.
An amendment to the title of World War II of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This broadened the scope of sex discrimination laws to guidance that pregnant women were protected as well.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of women they obviously become pregnant, and they kind of, I feel like back then they probably would have gotten laid off if there was like not these protections.
They would get fired. Like they would like, oh, you're pregnant, you can't do the job.
That's so awful. And see, like that's why we need like these discriminations acts to be passed, because it's just like, imagine like you're so good at your job and you're good, and just because you get pregnant, like they're like, oh,
it's not even that. I feel like it's like not right. You want to start a family, and they're like, oh, you want to start a family, now you can't work. But you're like, you gotta work to provide for your family. So it's like,
yeah, like how am I supposed to feed the kid?
How am I supposed to feed myself? Like,
yeah, like true. So also like, I feel like today also in the United States, women also don't get paid as well. Like there's maternity leave and paternal leave.
Right.
And I believe some of it is like unpaid. So it's like you can take the leave, you're just not gonna get paid for it, which is crazy because other countries will literally pay you, and they also do paternal leave, and that's like really important for women. Like you want to bond with your children, and so like the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act of 2009. This act President Obama signed, that was an added amendment to the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This act extended the window of time that an employee can file a lawsuit regarding an equal pay violation by recalculating the statute of limitations to begin with the last paycheck issued to the employee. So basically, women now have this like window to file the lawsuit and be like, hey, like you didn't pay me my money, like I need my money, like I worked, I need that money. Like that is so unfair. Imagine like you worked 40 hours and they're like, I'm gonna pay you for 10.
You know they've done that to me?
Oh my god, why?
Like, they just
did you give you your money? Did you file a lawsuit? No. Alma, that is not okay. You see, we gotta check if we have time. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your experience in the military. What would you say was your experience as a woman in the military?
Okay, so I have come across
with equality.
Equality? Oh my god. Okay, so I've come across many experiences in the military. One specific one was, let me see, last year I graduated high school and I went to basic training.
Yes.
It was like 2 months, you know, you can't talk, text them, whatever.
Yeah, letters. I remember sending you letters.
Yeah. So later on, I went to AIT, which is my job training.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a cook. There in the military, they have like, they're called holdovers.
Yeah.
Basically, they're like these kids who are like bad or whatever. They don't graduate their courses and they're just stuck there until they like do what they gotta do, because the military ain't gonna pay you and then like just let you leave.
But, yeah, they got a hold on you. You sent your
like,
life
away. It's like, we paid all this. You're our property now. But okay, so what happened to me was, one of the holdovers, he was really disrespectful to me, and he like made rude comments and stuff. And in the military, they have this thing called SHARP. Basically, it's where like you can go report if someone's like harassing you and stuff like that. I myself was harassed various times, like 3 times in the military, and I went and told the sergeant. And I told the sergeant, hey, like, you know, this is happening to me, please, like, don't, like, tell them, but, like, can you help me? And they went and told them, and so, like, yeah, it was horrible.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but, like, I was like, I thought it was
like you get more targeted.
No, I did.
Because they, like, go, it's basically like telling a bully, like when you tell your mom that someone's bullying you and your mom goes and tells them, like, and the bully's like, you told your mom.
So watch it. Yeah, so like, yeah, and like I got targeted, and like I felt so like horrible. I cried. I remember I was like, I hate the military. Like I don't want to be here. And then later on, my drill sergeant, she found out and she was like, what the heck? And she like literally threatened him, but she's like, what's your problem? And he ended up getting kicked out of the military.
So it took a woman to step in for them to actually do something. Yes, because I'm pretty sure she's experienced similar treatment.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
The male sergeant didn't do anything. He just put me on the spot and made me feel like
that is awful. Matter. Yeah. I'm so glad there's women that are willing to step up for other women, because it's just like I don't think that the other sergeant did it on purpose either. Is that he was just like, he probably thought he was helping, but it's just like that's not how you go about this.
He made it way worse.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he's like him thinking that he was gonna change something and have that guy stop or whoever the people were, but he just ended up making it worse. And it's just like it takes a woman to know like what you went through to be like.
Yeah, I feel like he didn't know, like he wasn't in my shoes to understand what I was feeling. And so when I told her, she was like, okay, that's not right. Like I know what you feel, so let's take care of this right now. So that's how that went.
Yeah.
But he ended up getting kicked out, and I was like, oh great, we don't need people like you in the military.
Yeah, you don't. I have a couple of girlfriends that are in the military too, and it's really horrible how much sexual abuse they've had and like harassment. And it's ridiculous how like nothing is done until a woman steps in because they've told their sergeants nothing. The guys get like a slap on the wrist. And then I'm not just saying guys harass women and stuff, but the majority of the time it is. Like I'm not trying to be like double standard here, but of course the majority of the time it is men doing these things to women. Right. And then so tell us a little bit about your experience in construction. How did that go? And like, do you think that you were getting paid equal? Do you think you were being treated equal?
No. Okay, so I'm the type of person, I grew up with like 10 siblings. I grew up with 6 brothers.
Yeah, we did.
Like, it was crazy. But I was more of like, I guess you could say the tomboyish one. I like playing sports. I was always behind my brothers. So I never saw a gender role. I believe that girls could do the same thing as guys. Like,
yeah,
like
of course
what
you
the
can.
heck? Like, we're strong too. Okay, so construction, I ended up getting the job with my brother. And, he bailed on me.
He was like, I'm not for construction,
like,
you do it.
I was like 4 or 5 in the morning. I was like, dude, I'm up. Like, let's go. And he bailed on me. Yeah.
I remember that. He was supposed to, you guys were going to work together.
Yeah.
And he ended up not wanting to do construction because it was too hard.
I was so, like...
I was like, dude, she's like 2 feet tall and she's going to go, like, she just...
I know, I went and I was like, oh my god, I'm the only female here. Like, there's no guy. Like, there's nothing but guys here. So I was nervous. It was something different. I got there and they actually did treat me good at first. They were all kind. I worked, I say probably like 4 days. I worked there 4 days and they actually let me work. Like I was hands down working, getting down dirty, and then I had to leave 2 weeks later because of the military, because of like all the craziness going on.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
they called you
the riots. Yeah, so I ended up coming back and they did not let me do anything at all. Nothing. They're like, well, you have to have a degree to do this. And I was like, this guy doesn't have a degree. He's the same age as me.
Yeah.
Like, and then they're getting paid 18, 19 an hour. He's getting paid 14. And I was like...
Did you say anything about it?
Oh, my God. I made a huge deal about it. I was like, what the heck? Like, I work more than them. They just stand there on the phones and...
Yeah.
I did not get paid.
You have to prove yourself doing the same job that they're just standing around doing.
Yeah, but not only that. Okay, so I was working out in the field, and then I ended up doing office work, which is not even my job. I was doing so much. Let me see. I was inside the like tool rooms, helping them with tools. I was left and right, writing cards, taking equipment, and I was like, what the heck? I do not get paid enough. I think I was there for 6 months until finally I went to the boss, and I was like, hey, you know what? Thank you for the opportunity, but I do not want to work here no more. Like, I have another job backed up that's going to pay me more because I'm not going to just sit here and, like, not get paid good. And he was like, no, don't quit. Like, we're going to teach you. We're going to give you the opportunity to learn. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I was like, yeah, you better give me the opportunity. Like, what the heck? Like, they're not any better than me. Like, I work more than you guys.
Oh, yeah, they're not doing it. You said they were just standing around on their phones and you're, like, busting your butt, like, to, like... You're like, hey, like, I deserve to be here and I deserve to get paid this much.
Yeah, so the boss was like, oh, okay, like, you know, like, don't quit. Like I'm going to give you the opportunity. Girl, a week later, I got fired.
What?
I didn't even do anything. So I was on the roof. I was top of the roof. We were on top of the roof. Had my harness, everything gone. And I lost my ID badge. And I was like, where's my badge? So I asked one of the guys. I was like, hey, like, if any of you guys find it, I'll buy you breakfast. Or I'll buy you lunch. Like, or I got you with a coffee, anything. Yeah. And they're like, oh, okay. And one of them was like, if you buy me a Monster, then I'll tell you where it's at. And I was like, if you tell me where it's at, then...
Where's my ID? Like, stop playing.
I was like, then we got a deal here.
Yeah.
And so he was like, oh, it's on top of this metal piece. And I was like... I was like this tall. I was like, hey, like... I was like, listen, you know, I'm like, I can't reach. Like, and they were, like, I, like, was jumping up, like, trying to reach it. And so, one of the bosses, he assumed I was making a TikTok.
That is so embarrassing.
It was. I did not know until, like, the following Monday.
Imagine, like on the letter, like, why they let you go to, like, making TikToks on the job. I'd be like, I would like, this girl, I'm like, should I hire her? She looks like she's addicted to TikTok. Obviously, it was an issue in their past employer.
But that wasn't the issue, though. I wasn't
I know, I'm
TikTok.
just kidding.
But yeah,
that's not why she was let go.
Okay, but yeah, I got sent home. Me and this guy got sent home because he was recording me, and I didn't consent him to record me, and I had no idea. I was just trying to get my ID badge.
Yeah.
You had to have the ID badge to get into the
building.
Yeah, basically the site. Okay. The site. And so I got sent home, and I was like, oh, the day's almost over.
You're like, all right.
I can go to the gym early, go get those gains. So, like, I was like, nothing. And then the following Monday, because it was a Friday,
yeah,
they called me, and they're like, oh, yeah, don't bother coming in. They didn't
know. They said don't bother coming in?
Wait, you want to know what? They didn't even call me. They texted me.
They
texted me. They let me go.
Who texted you?
It wasn't even the boss.
Is it HR?
It was a foreman.
A foreman texted you?
Yeah.
You should have screenshotted that and went with this legislation act where you didn't get paid enough. You should have got your money.
I should have. But, yeah, that's how the experience went. I was like, you know what? Never again construction. It was just so unfair. And
it sucks that you, like, now you have, like, this negative view of construction. Because, like, I'm like, construction's pretty cool. Like, that's how we have our buildings, our roads and stuff. And, like, women should be able to take on these roles and get paid equally for the same amount of work and not have to, like, bust, like, their butts, to, like, man, they're just so mad. I'm like, they should not have to bust their butts. I know, I'm just thinking about, like, how are we working so hard and not getting paid the same amount of money while, like, a man could just stand around and, like, just be like, all right, cool. And then they said you were making TikToks.
Like, I wasn't even making TikToks. I found out, like, probably, like, a week later, like, yeah, one of my friends was like the guys there, he was like, yeah, they said you got fired making TikToks. I was like, what? I was like, first of all, I have TikTok, but I don't make them. Like, come on now. I was like, do that at home.
I just barely downloaded it, and I haven't got into it yet. Yeah, I refuse. The Generation Z. I'm like, I'm not gonna do it.
They have good cooking shows. They're good cooking things.
I'm just, I don't know. I've definitely, with my experience with work, I don't think I was getting paid less than my coworkers or men or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But I did notice I definitely have always had to really prove myself. I don't know. I just felt like there was like this imposter syndrome that I've always had. But it was just, like, working in the field that I have, I've just noticed that I literally have to prove myself. I'm like, hey, like, I deserve to be here and stuff. Whereas, like, my coworker's just, like, going about his day, like, not even worried. Like, I am stressed out. And he's just like, yeah, it's, like, whatever. Oh, my God. I'm like,
chill.
Yeah, and also, just, like, I'm also, like, this first generation, like, I was the first to graduate high school, the first one to go to college and some college. It's just, like, a lot of firsts for me, and it's also, like, being this Latina, and trying to, like, stick to my roots, but also not, like, I'm not trying to be somebody else, I'm not trying to be like them, just so I get the job. I'm, like, I'm trying to be true to my true, authentic Latina self, but also I'm, like, not gonna, like, be like, oh, like, I'm not gonna, like, whitewash my personality just so they can accept who I am, and especially because I'm a woman. And I hated that. But I do know that, like, my last job, like, after I was, like, let go because of COVID and everything.
Girl, you were crying.
Oh, no one has to know that. Well, I cried. I cried because obviously I really, like, I love the job and I seen so much potential for me to grow there. But, like, once I was let go and I feel like this curtain fell off about, like, this job wasn't perfect, I was working, doing, like, so many things that was so out of my pay grade. Like, they were having me do all kinds of things there.
Grabbing them lunch.
Like, all kinds of things. And it's, like, it wasn't in my job description, and I accepted it because I was like, oh, like, this is how it goes. This is how I'm gonna move on to something better. And, like, they're prepping me for something better. And that's the thing, like, you think they're getting you ready to move you in the next part of the company, or you're getting a promotion. But in reality, it's, like, they're, like, definitely not paying you enough for doing the work that you should be doing.
Right.
And it's just, like, if you have the skill set and you're doing your job well, it's, like, why can't I get paid to do the work that I'm doing? Like, why is that such an issue? Like,
it is an issue. Literally an issue.
Yeah, and I just know, like, I've definitely, like, I have also been, like, I've been an organizer now for, this is my second, I think like kind of like my second season, we would say, of organizing. So when I first organized in 2018, I didn't really experience a lot of like unequalness in my work thing itself, like with my coworkers and stuff. But when I was out in the field, I did notice I was treated very differently by people than my coworker was. And my coworker was this like 6 foot tall, blonde hair, blue eyes kid, and he was like cool, right? And I'm just like this little Latina girl. I'm like out there, and I definitely like I was just treated like, depending on the neighborhoods I went into, I definitely was treated differently. Some of them are very welcoming. In other neighborhoods, they were just like, "What are you doing here?" I'm just like, I'm just trying to get you to vote. Like, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I don't know. It's so crazy that we can literally do the same job as someone else and not get paid enough, or even if you are getting paid enough, like you're expected to really prove that you need. I don't know. You're expected to prove that that's why you need to get paid that much, and it's crazy because it's just like, we're doing the same work as someone else. Like
you have to go way, like super way up and beyond. Like it's like you said, it's not even your job description. Like
yeah.
Like for me, like I remember they sent me to go get lunch off site, and I was like,
I thought you were like that.
I was like, excuse me, I thought my job is construction. Like, what am I doing to get lunch?
They sent you for lunch?
Yeah, I was like,
you should have got them lunch. Be like, I'm not your Uber Eats.
Not to be extra, but I was like, do you guys pay for my gas? Like,
yeah, you should.
I don't get paid enough.
Are you gonna pay for my lunch?
Tell me about it. I was like, I am not cool.
Okay, so we are gonna head into a quick 1 minute break, and when we come back, we are going to do some quick trivia on women's rights and equality.
Hello, my name is Andrea Diaz, co-founder and president of Tomorrow We Vote.
And I'm Brent Whiting, co-founder and vice president of Tomorrow We Vote. Thanks for attending tonight's event.
Tomorrow We Vote's foundation is built upon a focus to register young citizens to vote and empower them to exercise the right to do so. We're hoping tonight will expand that mission.
If you'd like to support Tomorrow We Vote as a donor, volunteer, or simply spread our message of voter outreach, please do so at www.tomorrowwevote.org or follow us on one of our social media outlets.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome back, everybody. We are going to start our trivia. We have some questions today that we picked out. Okay, so first one we have today is, who was one of the first African American women to earn a college degree and become known as a national activist for civil rights and suffrage? Do you know the answer?
I forgot.
Mary Church Terrell.
I was close. I just forgot the rest.
Oh, okay. That's what we're gonna say. Okay. So, okay, you can read the second one. I love trivia.
I'm horrible at trivia, but okay. So, where was the first women's rights convention held?
So, I actually remember learning this in school. It was in, wait, a little pause, dramatic pause, Seneca Falls, New York. I think that is where a lot of the women's suffrage, like, events started happening in the first place, and they started gathering and stuff. So that's pretty cool that they even had the convention there too. And I feel like New York is just, when you think of like conventions and stuff, like you just think of New York. I don't know.
Really? I think of like, you know how they have like those superheroes conventions.
Oh, you're talking about Comic-Con. We're talking about like this. I was like, this is like real life.
No, I know. But when I think of conventions, I think of like gatherings and.
Well, there's conventions, like there's like political conventions, there's like all kinds of conventions, like
okay.
All right. Okay. Who was the first woman elected to United States Senate? And it's crazy. Like, I'm gonna have to look up when she was like elected to the U.S. Senate, because I bet you it was not that long ago either, because the way this country is set up, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
So the first woman elected into the United States Senate was Haiti Wyatt Caraway. Oh, her last name is so pretty. Okay, so this one's obviously very important. This is one of my favorite trivias, but I feel like we all know this too. But anyways, what amendment allowed women in the United States to vote, but not all Native American and Asian women have citizenship? The 19th Amendment. But let's just talk about that real quick. That's crazy because, like, the 19th Amendment granted women the right to vote, but not all women. Especially Native American women. I think Native American women weren't allowed to vote until, like, the 1960s. Like, that was not that long ago. The 1960s was, like, around the time the Civil Rights Act was passed. And it's just, like, that's crazy that these women who literally were here in the country before, like, everyone else came, Native American people deserve, like, they should have got the right to vote before anyone. They should have
been the first ones.
Because they've been here. They took their land. That is crazy to me. And especially, like, Asian women as well, like, you know what? Women,
it's just unfair. Like, it's really unfair.
Yeah, but we have the right to vote now, but maybe, like, it sucks that we have to have went from, like, first white women get the right to vote and then everyone else. Like I said, it's always, like, the elite, the people that work for the federal government, people that, like, have money and all this. They always, like, get, like, first dibs on, like, the rights. Yeah. And then the rest are like, oh, here's some rights for everybody else. I'm just like, whoa, why couldn't you just give it to us, like, when everyone else got it?
Exactly. I don't know. I think that's horrible. It's like, for example, you get food, right? And you get what you want, and then the leftovers is just like, oh, like, when we feel like giving this to you, here you can have it. And you're just like, dude, like, why can't we just all get something at the same time? Why can't I be diverse and, you know, just equal?
Because they don't make money off of it, and it doesn't fit their agenda. That's why.
Oh, that sucks. That really does suck.
Yeah, but I know, like, we are not perfect to where we are today. There's a lot of, like, where women's rights need to go in the first place. But I am, like, very thankful that, like, I was born in a time where, like, I could speak out and say whatever I want. And no one's gonna, like, you can tell me something. Well, you can't, like, I don't know. You can't put me in jail or, like, say witch. Because I'm like, hey, I don't like that. I think I should be paid equally. And, like, you know, like, back in the day when, like, women spoke out, they're like, witch. And I'm like, imagine you're like, I deserve to get paid equally. And they're like, that lady's a witch. Like, I'm like, oh, my God.
No, today they can't do that. That'd be horrible.
Imagine you're just like, my favorite color is red. And they're like, that is suspicious. They're like,
really sus, like.
Or, like, you know that thumb trick? What is that thumb trick where you go like that? They're like, imagine you do that. And they're like, you're a witch. Okay. So that was our trivia. Let's talk a little bit on some action items. So we talked a lot about today. We talked a lot about women's rights, our experiences, her experience in the military, in construction, and what like discriminations. We talked a little bit about equal pay, and of course, we deserve equal pay. Especially Latinas, we make less than everyone else. It is not fair. I am a Latina. Thankfully, I get paid, like, you know, I don't have that issue here. It's Tomorrow We Vote. It's a nonprofit. So I'm not, you know, but it's just, like, in general, Latina women do make less. So what we want to do to, like, counter that is, like, we need to vote. Like, that is, like, if, like, the minimum you were doing is voting, then, like, vote. Because, like, that's how we're going to get things done. It's just, like, of course, we need to, like, show out and stuff. But I think voting is, like, the bare minimum. And you can go and register to vote on tomorrowwevote.org. I don't know. I think today was, like, a very interesting conversation. I didn't know you've experienced all that in the construction and everything.
Yeah,
so
it was not. It's just crazy because behind closed doors, people don't really know, like, what women go through. But I feel like it should be voiced more so that people are, like, they know what's going on and there could be a change. And like she said, we could start that by voting. So most definitely, if you guys can vote, go vote.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in with us today. Make sure you tune in every week. We're going to be talking about new topics. Hopefully Alma is our speaker next time. But if not, we'll have new people. We're going to have guest speakers. We want to thank you guys so much. And if you we have a bunch of trivia on our Tomorrow We Vote University page if you guys want to go ahead and look at the trivia and the answers as well that we were reading. But thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and this was Tomorrow We Vote Vocalize Chat.
Hello, my name is Andrea Diaz, co-founder and president of Tomorrow We Vote.
And I'm Brent Whiting, co-founder and vice president of Tomorrow We Vote. Thanks for attending tonight's event.
Tomorrow We Vote's foundation is built upon a focus to register young citizens to vote and empower them to exercise the right to do so. We're hoping tonight will expand that mission.
If you'd like to support Tomorrow We Vote as a donor, volunteer, or simply spread our message of voter outreach, please do so at www.tomorrowwevote.org or follow us on one of our social media outlets.
Thank you.